Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm Dane, your host. Hope you're doing wonderful wherever you may find yourselves. Blessings to all, and welcome to another episode in my mini-series where I count down my 20 favorite album runs of all time. Today is the penultimate episode in that little mini-series. This is the 19th episode, and therefore we're talking about my second favorite album run of all time. We're staying in England here, and we're going to talk about Led Zeppelin. Will I include Coda and Enter the Outdoor? That remains to be seen. Got to talk about the debut, of course. This is included in the run. And of course, Jimmy Page coming over and forming a new band. Coming over from the Yardbirds, forming a new band, roughly called the New Yardbirds. And of course, thanks to Keith Moon, allegedly, well, that's going to go over like a lead balloon or whatever he said, right? Something akin to that. Some say it's Daltrey. Who knows? I think it's Moon. But rest is history, right? Get the name of the band pretty much from that. And, of course, if you listen to some of the late live recordings of the Yardbirds, you can see the song Dazed and Confused in its infancy. Page touring with the Yardbirds on their last leg. Can't remember the name of the live album. Still trying to find a copy of it. Have it written down somewhere. And it's like this, 9-minute stretch of one of the songs where he's doing the magic that we know is Dazed and Confused in the Zeppelin catalog, with those live tricks up his sleeve, so to speak. On The Song Remains the Same, and of course, the story about Page turning to Plant and putting on Joan Baez's song Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You, and saying, I want to do that. It's here in Led Zeppelin version, right? You have the Great White version as well. So let's talk about the wonderful 9 tracks that you have here. You have Good Times, Bad Times, which is a very good song. I wouldn't call it a great song, but you have a blistering guitar solo from Page, which that is the best part of the song. That is an amazing solo, I think. Of course, this album is rough around the edges, but it's okay. Think of, Def Leppard's first album. Think of Metallica's first album. It's raw, and it should be. That's what gives it its charisma and flavor and overall texture, if you will. There's a certain charm with that rawness. Think Nirvana's first album, right? So, Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You, the second track, the Joan Baez cover, is just wonderful. That light and shade, the type where you bounce back and forth between. The Pixies did not invent that. Perhaps Led Zeppelin, perhaps not. But definitely Pixies weren't the first to do the light. All they did was take, instead of going from light to heavy, they went from heavy to light. It's just reversed. So anyway, and then you get the wonderful, sometimes neglected You Shook Me. Of course, Willie Dixon tune. This is a marvelous track, I think. I don't think it's perfect, but for a cover song, and I am very, I have a love-hate relationship with cover songs. I think this is an example of the love that you give it. So I've been listening to a lot of Wasp lately, and as you know, Blackie Lawless likes to do his covers, and it's a great tribute to those bands. And I like some of them. I don't like some of them. Like yesterday, I was listening to Inside the Electric Circus, and I really don't care for his version of Easy Living by Uriah Heep. But then he goes and does Don't Need No Doctor, and there's a Who cover. I can't remember the name of it. The Real Me, there it is. And those are wonderful. So You Shook Me is in part with the wonderful. Dazed and Confused, of course, gets stretched out later, the 4th track on here. This is a Dynamite early version. It is 6.5 minutes, so not quite the epic track that it becomes, but it is still wonderful. It's still in its infancy here. I would say that the live version on The Song Remains the Same for me is the definitive version. All right, Your Time Is Gonna Come, probably the weakest track on the album, but it has something similar to a song on here. I would say it's parallel with, well, maybe not. There's something about it that reminds me of What Is and What Should Never Be, and maybe Living, Loving Mate. Perhaps just a the vocal phrasing from there. There's something about it, but the thought has evaporated. So sorry about that. Anyway, it's a good song, not a great song. Your time's gonna come. The vocal delivery from Plant is I think the best part of the song. And then you get the wonderful instrumental Black Mountainside, which is, I just think, amazingly captivating. And then you get the heavy song Communication Breakdown. The kids go nuts. You know the story when it was played live, allegedly for the first time, according to Mark Davis, where he'd never seen kids headbang before. I love talking about that. And then you get the great track I Can't Quit You Baby, steeped in the blues, as so much of this is, of course, all of it really, but with the Led Zeppelin touch. And then finally you get the quasi-epic track, because I think it's 8.5 minutes. Yeah, almost 8.5 minutes, which is a song I just love. How many more times? Sometimes I'll just put this on, and that's it. The bass intro comes in from John, and then you get, hey, Bowie, I love you too. And then you get the those little magical snippets from Page while that's going on, and then it just builds up from there, and then Plant comes in. It's just wonderful. And you got the last part of the song, or the penultimate part of the song, where you have the song called The Hunter attached. So they kind of pull a Judas Priest, where they combine two songs into one. I just saw on YouTube, I didn't get a chance to finish it, but there's an extended live version of How Many More Times. It's like 20-something minutes. I listened to part of it, and then there was a knock on my door, and I had a guest come over, so I have to listen to that later. But to drop off something, and we got the chatting. So how Many More Times, I think, is a song that I wish there were more live versions of it, that kind of thing. Anyway, so the debut is a marvel. Next, of course, the Brown Bomber, even better than the first. Everything I'm showing you today is the 2 CD versions remastered for the umpteenth time by Page, but I'm only going to talk about the original tracks. I just love having this as on vinyl as a kid. I miss those days. So Whole Lotta Love. What else can we say about Whole Lotta Love that hasn't been said any before? My dad wasn't the biggest Zeppelin fan, but boy did he like this song. And you have this middle section, which a lot of chaos and craziness and organized chaos, and Plant, being in the throes of ecstasy, mimicking that, and it's just wonderful. And the theremin, and then when Page comes in after that with the guitar solo, it's just magic. This whole album is magic. You get the fun, what is and what should never be. That's just a cool song. This light and shade, but the darker part is more playful than heavy. Really, there's a certain heaviness to it, but not heavy, as you know. Then you get the bluesy Lemon song, a partial cover song, if not a downright altogether cover song. I don't remember who the original artist is. And you have phrases like "killing floor," which makes you think of a Hendrix, and this is a dynamite track. Again, very similar to Whole Lotta Love with respect to the subject matter, very Freudian. It's great. Then you get the love letter to his wife, Robert Plant, that is, singing "Thank You." There's a great Tori Amos version of that, right? This is a wonderful ballad, one of the greatest ballads of all time, to end side one. Then, starting side two, one of my favorite Zeppelin songs of all time is the wonderful Heartbreaker. And I've said this before, and I don't know why, I can't put my finger on it, but something about the song Heartbreaker with respect to the guitar makes me think of Jimi Hendrix. Regardless of that, it's still a marvelous song. And that guitar solo is so heavy. And then you get the fun Living Loving Maid, She's Just a Woman. Not the same as What Is and What Should Never Be, but it's a fun song in that regard. But there's just some. I think you have to get up. I can't speak for everyone, but I have to get up and move when I hear the song. Not necessarily dance, but kind of pseudo dance and just move around and kind of. I don't want to say run around, but I have to just maybe slightly headbang, even though it's not a headbanging song. It's really hard to describe. It's just a get up and move type of song. And then you get the wonderful bluesy piece, Ramble On, connection to Tolkien and Lord of the Rings. Just an amazing song. A little bit of folk and blues tied together, mostly blues. the soft parts are a light and shade song to a degree, but in a different sense. It's just a great song. And then you get the wonderful instrumental Moby Dick with Page bookending the song with his wonderful guitar, and then John Bonham just going to town on the drums. Just fabulous. And then finally you get the bluesy Bring It On Home, Plant doing his best to mimic the Delta blues artist from the early blues era, if you will, Robert Johnson and what have you, and it works. It's great. It's heavy in a bluesy. It's a bluesy heavy rock song. What a marvel this is! Never gets old for me. All right, next, as you know, the band changes direction. There are days where I think this is their best work. It's not my favorite, but there have been days where it has been. Immigrant Song about the Vikings coming over, right? Makes me think of a George Carlin joke, which we won't launch into, but it's a great song. It's one of, as you know, Zeppelin's short. It's a short and sweet song. Too bad it's not a little longer, but it is a heavy song. I love it. I like when Zeppelin's heavy, but there's more to Zeppelin than that. I like everything they do, except for maybe one song. Friends, what a great song. Something charismatic about it. It's very different from everything else in the Zeppelin catalog to some degree, but it's a great song. Then you get Celebration Day. The opening is just fabulous. The vocal phrasing from Plant is dynamite. Everybody's just dynamite here. And speaking of dynamite, one of my favorite songs of all time, Since I've Been Loving You, despite the fact that you can hear the metal piece in the drum kit squeaking, there's a problem with that on one of the Mott the Hoople albums. I think it's Mad Shadow, but it's not as bad as here. I've been able to tune it out for the most part, kind of like when you watch a basketball game and you tune out the sneakers squeaking, right? I made a joke there, but it is a great song, and the live version is wonderful, and especially if you watch the live version from the movie, the song remains the same. It's just, and the camera work and the cinematography help with the ethos of the song. And this is just, Plant has never sounded better. What a great song. So bluesy and yet so heavy, and it's one of those goosebump types. See that? All right. The way he belts is just, oh man, the energy and the passion which he sings at is just marvelous. Hi, my sweetie. All right. I think Bowie likes Zeppelin. He doesn't complain when I put it on. All right. Next you get Out on the Tiles, which is in many ways a heavy song for Zeppelin. The vocal register from Plant is dynamite here. New Orleans' own band Zebra has covered this many a time live. What a great song. Inspiring Zebra and other Zeppelin inspired bands, right? Then you get Gallows Pole, very different from what you would expect Zeppelin to do. Many people were disappointed by this album. I was a little disappointed when I first heard it, because it starts off how you expect Zeppelin to be with the punch of Immigrant Song, and then you get some kind of folky stuff going on. But it didn't take long for me to warm up to this album, and I'll probably on the second listen I got what they were trying to do. Out on the Tiles is fabulous. Gallows Pole, very different, folky, and kind of like almost an Appalachian style blues rock type song. Almost, I like it. Then you get the wonderful ballad Tangerine. Plant is just, this is a Plant song. This is why you listen to the song, to listen to Plant vocalize the story. It's just love song. It's great. Then you get That's the Way, much of the same, folky tune. This is where Plant is shining vocally. It's more about him than anything else, I think, but delivery of his set tail is marvelous. Brawny Your Stomp, a fun song. I'll leave it at that. I like it. I don't skip the song ever. Then you get Hats Off to Roy Harper. When I first heard the song, I thought it was a little grating, just because of the guitar stylings, but it's grown on me a little bit. I don't love it, but I do like it. This is a great album. All right. As you know, the next album is nicknamed Led Zeppelin 4, or Four Symbols, or Untitled. A masterpiece of an album. So far, I would say all four of these in their own way are varying styles of masterpieces. Let's see, let's go ahead and take the disc out. So, as you know, the album begins with Black Dog. Let me say this. If you look at the disc and the symbols, Zoso, I used to have a Dungeons and Dragons book that had a similar, almost similar, identical symbol on it. And in alchemy, it means limestone, hence earth. The feather, of course, is air. And then this one is fire because of the points. And then this one is water because of H2O, three things, two H's, one O. So you have three rings, H2O. You could call this album, I guess, Earth, Air, Fire, and Water. Each member of the band representing one of those. So, Black Dog, a great rocker. Been a long time since I rock and roll. What a great way to start the album, considering a lot of, I guess it's a look back at, hey, we haven't rocked very much here. And you do rock in a different way, but let's go back to some of the basic rock we did on the first three albums is perhaps what that song is about. This is one of those songs where the song title doesn't go with the lyrics. Of course, Planet's going on record saying when they were at Headley Grange that Black Dog came in and it needed some love. Okay, but I don't hear that in the lyrics. Anyway, rock and roll, great song, a great rocker. And then you get the folky, wonderful, The Battle of Evermore. I did not like the song at all when I first heard it. When I heard the intro and then Plant starts to sing, I'm like, what on earth is this? And then after about 3 listens, I'm in high school, I was like, okay, I get this. This is a very good, because the beginning doesn't let you know where the song is going, because you have this build up, and Sandy Denny comes in to duet, to be part of the duet with Plant, right? And that's marvelous, coming over from Fairport Convention, right? And then you have this wonderful build up where Plant is just, screaming, get it back. It's just amazing. Or bring it back. It's amazing. It goosebumps. See? And then what can I say about Stairway to Heaven? An epic track, 8 minutes, 2 seconds, and Light and Shade, but the kind where you start off light and then the second half or whatever is heavy. And that guitar solo, it is my favorite guitar solo of all time. A song that gives you hope because about changing the road you're on. We know that what that means. It's a song about not just hope, but about determination, or becoming determined, or becoming motivated to change the road you're on, right? That kind of feel, it lends itself to that, and it's sad and yet cathartic and happy because of that hope. And Plant says that in the movie, right? This is a song about hope. And I'll never understand why he's he has pretty much turned his back on the song. But to each his own. For me, it's when I'm blue, I will sometimes put this on because of that cathartic element of the song. It's glorious. It's a glorious song. Misty Mountain Hop. This is a fun song, returning to the Lord of the Rings fair, right? Party song, hippie song in many ways. Nothing wrong with that. It's great. Four Sticks, my least favorite song on the album, but I do like it. I do like some world music. I like the vibe and energy that the song has. And when I do put it on, it doesn't want to make me move around the apartment. It's a good song. Going to California would fit right in on Led Zeppelin 3, right? Very folky. I love it. I dig it. This is about Plant and to some degree Page, right? And then you get the marvelous When the Levee Breaks. Can relate to the song because of living in Louisiana, as many of you as you can in recent times in the South and on the Eastern Seaboard. And we know the story. Bonham putting the drums at the bottom of the stairwell in the Headley Grange house, and the rest is history. What a great song. The bombastic drums, the delivery from Bonham on the drums, excuse me. I meant to say the delivery from John Paul Jones on the bass is amazing, keeping up with the rest of the band. Page's guitar is eclectic, and of course, Plant's vocals are all over the place, but in a good way, much like Four Sticks. So great harmonica from Plant too. And I'm not the biggest harmonica fan, but boy, it's great here. All right, more on that harmonica later. All right, next, of course, we get, cover up some things here, we get Houses of the Holy. And Plant has gone on record saying that too much hype surrounds the fourth album, that he prefers this one. I don't know if he still feels that way, and originally the song Remains the Same was supposed to be instrumental, and Plant said, oh no, we got to put some lyrics to this, and I'm glad that they did. And I guess you can still argue that the first and second song, the song Remains the Same, and the second song, the Rain song, are really one song from what they originally intended to do. Maybe not. Either way, the Rain song is over 7.5 minutes, almost an epic track. The song Remains the Same is 5.5, just under 5.5 minutes. The song Remains the Same. Allegedly, they speeded up the vocals to make it sound, the way it does. I don't know how true that is. It sounds organic to me. What do I know? Regardless, I love it. It's a heavy song for Zeppelin in the way that Plant sings, but it's not heavy, as you know. And the Rain song, the ballad, and of course about, there is, you're going to have lows in your life, right? Rain symbolizing that. It's still a marvelous song. It's a beautiful song, in fact. And what John Paul Jones does with the keys and strings element is just dynamite. It really, tugs at your emotions. Next, you have the wonderful Over the Hills and Far Away. This would, you have some Headley Grange stuff on, spread out through their catalog, starting with the third album, I believe, and then the fourth, and then this one, and then Physical Graffiti. I did a video on that a while back about the tetralogy, the Led Zeppelin tetralogy. And Over the Hills and Far Away is just one of those songs, I think, as I was going to say, would fit well on the fourth album, if not the third as well. It has that same vibe because of where they were recording and in the history at Headley Grange, right? I'm not sure if that song was recorded there, but it feels like it was. Anyway, The Crunge, as you know, has no bridge. Where's that confounded bridge, right? But it's still great. It still works. An homage to James Brown. I love it. Love the guitar stylings from Page, so different. Then you get Dancing Days, which is an okay song. It's not great, but get out of there, sweetie. But it is a song that I do listen to from time to time. Jamaica, as it's called, or we used to say as kids, Dire Maker, Oh Ho Ho Ho, etc. It's an okay song. Of course, there's that Bob Rivers cover Christmas song where Oh Ho Ho Ho, Dancing Through the Snow. It's funny, but this is an okay song. Of course, then you get the epic track, No Quarter, very cerebral sounding, very a moody piece. It's very trippy. It's something you want to turn the lights off and just close your eyes and absorb everything. You've got to return to Norse mythology, like the Immigrant Song with, the winds of Thor are blowing cold, right? Anyway, this is a marvelous song, one of my favorite. Bowie, Sweetie, Please, top 10 songs of all time. And then you get the fabulous The Ocean, which New Orleans' own Zebra would play from time to time live here. I'm sure they played it other places too, not just here at home. So this is a fabulous album. It's not perfect because of Jamaica and Dancing Days, the two weakest tracks. I like those songs, but they're not great. So this is a very good album, not a great album. And then speaking of great, but also masterpiece and legendary, is Physical Graffiti. More Headley Grange material on here, as you know. And you get 4 wonderful sides if you're a vinyl person like I used to be. And right off the bat, 3 wonderful songs in Custard Pie, The Rover, and In My Time of Dying. Custard Pie and The Rover, heavy rock from the band. Then you get the very long, epic, almost 12 minutes, In My Time of Dying. The drums here are in many ways the highlight of the song. Plant's desperation or appeal to St. Peter and Jesus is marvelous. I love it. The whole band is great. But again, for me personally, the highlight is just the drums, the drum kit from Bonham here. Overall, great song from all four members of the band. Next, you get Houses of the Holy. Go figure. Bands have done this before where a name of a song is also a name of an album, and yet that song is not nowhere to be found on the album. On Through the Night comes to mind, right? Anyway, House of the Holy is fabulous. It's a fun song. It's a song that makes you look at the lyrics and, Satan's daughter has entered, a holy place. What's going on here? That kind of thing. What a great song. Next you get, here's another example of a song where the title doesn't fit the subject matter, Trampled Underfoot, which, Aleister Crowley said that he went to Morocco or North Africa and he had a vision or was literally trampled underfoot by demons. Well, the song is about a car on the surface level, but on the deeper level of meaning the car is actually a woman. Anyway, great song, heavy song with some amazing keys from John Paul Jones here, and then Plant's outro vocals are just phenomenal. The whole song is phenomenal. Then you get the epic track, Kashmir. Great song. Bowie, please, sweetie, don't do that. Again, the band vacationing in Morocco, perhaps inspiring the song. You got some strings here. It's a goosebump type song. Just sit down and relax, have a beverage and enjoy the song. It's just so captivating. Oh man, I can hear it in my head right now. It's great. Okay, on to side 3 or disc 2. Things change drastically from A and B, but this is all wonderful stuff. In the Light, a more trippy, moody, hesitant sounding song in the sense that the instruments seem to hesitate or the notes seem to pause in midair and then they come back down, kind of thing. Metaphor. Not sure that's the right metaphor, but I don't want to hum the song to explain what I mean. But there's a certain majesty about the song. And then when Plant sings, everybody needs some light towards the end, and Plant comes in. Page comes in with the guitar. It's just majestic. And then you get the wonderful acoustic. I'm gonna butcher this, Bronny Yor, which is, I just think it's inspired. It's just great. And then you get 2 wonderful slow songs. I forget which of these 2 was an homage to Neil Young, but either way, you get Down by the Seaside, which is just invigorating, goosebumpy. See, it's a different form of majesty here. It's just amazing. And then you get 10 Years Gone, very pensive and introspective and moody, but it is a delight. Thinking about what's past and having gone down a road and what's next in my life. It's marvelous. And then you get, for me personally, what I think is the weakest track on all 4 sides, and that is Night Flight. I do like it, but there's something missing, and I can't put my finger on what that is. Then you get the Wanton song. This is one of my favorite heavy Led Zeppelin songs. It's a little short. It's just over 4 minutes. And this is one of those songs where you have that amazing outro from Plant on vocals where he's oohing, right? Just ooh, and then it ends. This is great. And then the drums, like In My Time of Dying. I don't know what's going on at Bonham here, but you have the song is about what he's playing and then also what he's not playing, those pauses. Like you think he's about to hit and then he hits it. It's great. The drums are just dynamite. Then you get the quirky and fun Boogie with Stu. Thumbs up here. Richie Valens cover, right? Or partial Richie Valens cover. I love it. Then you get Black Country Woman, talking about a woman from Wales, the Black Country. And These last two songs, when I first heard it, I didn't care for, but boy, has this song grown on me. I love it. There's a certain flair is not the right word. There's just something about the song that just captivates me. And then Sick Again, my second least favorite song on the album after Night Flight. I would say it's a good song, not a great song. I would have closed this album with something else on disc 2 or sides 3 or 4. But anyway, it is a good song, not a great song. So there you have it, Physical Graffiti. Next is Presence, as you know, short and sweet album. And get the disc out here. Where could it be? Had it in the wrong spot. All right. When I first heard Achilles' Last Stand in high school, I was blown away. This was the last album I got from them on vinyl. I don't know why. I had Coda and I take that back, second to last. I didn't have Coda yet. I had Enter the Outdoor before this. And I remember reading an article in Hit Parader about this song. I was like, wait, I don't know that Zeppelin song. I thought I knew all of them because I knew all of these because I'd heard them, but not this one for some reason. So that's when I saved up for my allowance and from Mom and Dad and went out and bought it. And Achilles' Last Stand, you have an epic track. Oh, it's exactly 10.5 minutes, and of course, different ways to interpret this song. Greek mythology, but it's also inspired because of Plant breaking his ankle in automobile accident in Morocco. So it's biographical. It's wonderful. It's heavy at times, and like the Wanton song and In My Time of Dying, part of what makes this song glorious is the drums. It's amazing. For Your Life, almost 6.5 minutes. The issue of drug addiction, perhaps, is what the song is about. This is great, yes, because he mentions, don't you want, and he mentions a drug. This is a very good song. Next is Royal Orleans, just shy of 3 minutes, talking about the hotel in the French Quarter here in New Orleans, where the band would often stay when they came down here. So it's dealing with that, some other social issues. It's a very good song, not a great song. Then you get the gem on the album, which is Nobody's Fault But Mine, almost 6.5 minutes. And it's weird because you listen to this on headphones, or if you just pay attention closely without headphones, the rhythm section is out of step with the rest of the band, and that's deliberate, and it works. It lays down a kind of funk groove. What Bonham and John Paul Jones are doing here is genius. How many people can pull it off? And of course, you have Plant's 2 amazing harmonica solos here, so heavy for harmonica. And then what Page is doing here is dynamite as well. What a great song. And of course, the no, inspiring perhaps Welcome to the Jungle by Guns N' Roses. Candy Store Rock, homage to Elvis. Plant being a big Elvis fan, he mentions that. The song remains the same. It's wonderful. I love it. Hot Song for Nowhere. I know some people don't like the song. I think it's nice. I didn't mean to say that. Nice. I'm sorry. I think it's dynamite. I think it's great. But I mean, Hot Song for Nowhere. There's just something fun about it, and yet dark and moody, and I don't. And it's hard to explain. It's a weird song. It leaves me conflicted. Am I supposed to feel joy? Am I supposed to feel sadness because of what the song is talking about from a lyric standpoint, unless I'm interpreting it wrong? And yet there's a certain, I don't know, it's hard to explain. Maybe it's just me. And then you get T for One, almost 9.5 minutes, which is perhaps a throwback and them trying to capture back the glory of Since I've Been Loving You. It has the same, lyric. The lyrics aren't exactly the same, but the lyrics, though different words, are dealing with the same subject matter, being alone, and dealing with lost love. Since I've Been Loving You is lyrically, different, but Since I've Been Loving You is dealing about the pain of how the relationship has, brought me down in a bad way. Here, a reaction to is T for One a part two to Since I've Been Loving You, like the end result of finally breaking it off? I know sometimes I overreach and overthink, overinterpret things, but like I do with Hot Song for Nowhere perhaps. But the beauty about this album, although it's been panned by many, is that the lyrics, I keep coming back to the lyrics and trying to match them up with the mood and vibe and the ethos of the song. And so, and for the last three tracks, Candy Store Rock, Hot Song for Nowhere, and T for One, I'm always rethinking what is this song really about, kind of thing. To some degree, that I do with Trampled Underfoot and Cashmere. But regardless, I think this album is solid. I think this album is not a masterpiece, but I would say it's approaching great. So yeah, Candy Store Rock, an homage to Elvis. Hot Song for Nowhere. Am I supposed to get up and move, or not supposed to get up and move and just sit down and plant myself and take it all in? And then T for One, definitely sit down and just absorb it, because it's a moody piece, and yet what's really going on here? Anyway, so there you have it. Presents. Will I include in through the outdoor? You betcha. Last part of the run. I'm not going to include Coda, although I do like Coda. And I'm not going to pull it out the paper bag here. The replication thing was kind of cool, so I kept it. I love In the Evening. Moody piece. It's got some upbeat song parts to it with the bum 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 bum, and then Plant singing "Oh, I Need Your Love." It's great. I think it's great. This is really a Plant Paul Jones composition, because Bottom's not doing so hot, and from what I've understood, and of course Page is dealing with his addiction at the time. So the other two members had to really step in. Some have argued this is really a Plant solo album. Maybe. I think John Paul Jones would have something to say about that. Southbound Suarez, I think, is fun. Is it a great song? No, but it's above average. It's a fun song. Then you get Fool in the Rain. Bum, 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 bum. This is a fun song too, and it didn't take me long to realize this song is essentially, topic-wise, the same thing about topic-wise, this is about the same thing that Genesis is talking about in Misunderstanding. Because Plant here says that he was a fool waiting on the wrong block, and in the Genesis song, Phil Collins says something along, I was waiting in the rain for hours. See, rain. So there's some, this must be a misunderstanding. So it's not exactly the same, but it's very similar. Hot Dog. It's a fun song. It's a comic song. And why I love the song so much, it shows you that Zeppelin can, do something tongue-in-cheek. They don't have to be serious all the time, although most of the time I like my songs serious. That's why I'm not a big Zappa fan. I don't like too much comedy. But I love when Plant sings, "I ain't going back to Texas anymore. Someone stole its dungarees," right? It's great. It's a great song. Then you get the epic track, Carol of Alhambra. Bum, 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 bum. I love this song. Perhaps foreshadowing Camera Eye by Rush. Maybe, maybe not. And then what can you say about the wonderful ballad here, All My Love, talking about his boy, right? It's great. Goosebumps. And then more goosebumps with I'm Gonna Crawl. Every little bit. The drums are amazing. Plant is amazing here. I love this album. This is a great album. Into the Outdoor. Tell me what you think, folks. Take care. See you next time. Bye now.